All right. So in the time frame we have, we're going through and building upon chapter 2 for Holy Day. In the context of this, in the beginning of this chapter, you see that King Herod is sending out, trying to get a statistic. He's trying to get a count of the newborns because the newborn could affect his throne. How many sons are born within my kingdom? So that means the progeny of the people I rule, one might rise up and take over. He knew about Jesus and John. So he rejoiced when he was told that they were dead. But the fact that they weren't dead, right? They're with their parents. And being with their parents were actually summoned. They were summoned by Elihu and Salome, right? Elihu and Salome were actually a married couple. Islam. You can look it up. You can Google Elihu and Salome, and you will find out that this is a married couple. A wise, spiritual, guru couple. And they taught the parents were Mary and Elizabeth. These were his students. Why wasn't it John? Why wasn't it Joseph or Zachariah? Think about it. Why wasn't it Joseph and Zachariah? Why is it Mary and Elizabeth? What's the connection? What's the connection? We're dealing with chapter 2. See if I can pull up a screen share here. Get chapter 2. Chapter 1. So we gotta think. Let's try to think about it, Morris. Oops. Well, think about it. Why weren't the dads being taught? Why, let's go to verse 4. It says, now Joseph, Mary, and their son were in Egypt and Zoan, and John was with his mother in Judean hills. Elihu and Salome sent messengers in haste to find Elizabeth and John. They found them and brought them to Zoan. Right? Found Elizabeth and John. It's John the Baptist. Right? Let's look at the situation here. Now, Mary and Elizabeth were marveling much because of their deliverance. Elihu said, it's not strange, there are no happenings Law governs all events. From olden times, it was ordained that you should be with us in this sacred school of thought. School be taught. In this sacred school be taught. Verse 9, Elihu and Salome took Mary and Elizabeth out to the sacred grove nearby where they were wont to teach. Okay. You understand? So where was the fathers were there? They were in the life. They were in their life. It wasn't like they were missing dads, you know. Why weren't they at the sacred grove? The reason why they weren't in the sacred grove, let's think of the thing. The mother is the first teacher. So the message has to come through her initially to teach the child. Looking at John and Jesus, they were, little at this point, They weren't men at this point. They weren't even teenagers. They were young, So Mary and Elizabeth had to be taught because so they could teach Jesus and John. What else? Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Your knowledge of your true self is transmitted through your soul. Islam. The divine knowledge, and I'm saying transmitted. I didn't say it comes from the soul. Transmitted through the soul. Your soul can receive messages from the divine. It's through your soul where you're able to truly be guided. Your instinctive, that intuition that you have, that you get not to go somewhere. You have a bad feeling about it. You might have a good feeling about this, or you have a good feeling about somebody. You're able to read that person and their vibration. You're like, you know what? I really see something special in that person. I don't know what it is, or I trust them, I think that person's sincere. Despite all the other stuff, I can see that person's heart, or, I know the situation is rough and it doesn't look like I can really make it, but I'm gonna go anywhere because I know there's something behind all this. I want to test it out. That's the soul. That's the soul. And this level, when you're dealing on this level, you're dealing with the understanding that the soul has a feminine component. It's feminine in nature, right? So the feminine nature has to be catered to and taught because it's the nurturing part. Obtaining knowledge. Obtaining knowledge is good, Attaining knowledge is good. Deciphering knowledge is good. Islam, deciphering knowledge is good. But, giving off knowledge is even better. Being nurtured by the knowledge. And this is what Elizabeth and Mary were given or given a commission to do. Is to nurture their sons with the knowledge so they can nurture the world or humanity. Because the mother is the foundation. See, a lot of us who don't have fathers, that's rough enough. Let a person not have a mother. No, you're wrong. There's some people that do all right without them. But that's rough. You ain't got a mom. Like usually if your dad, kind of make it out a little bit. Even though he's very important. And not to diminish the roles of the dads, because the dads, we hold it down. But come on, let's be honest. Not having a mother, that affects you. That affects you a little heavy. That taste is a little bitter, I would say. A little more bitter than not having a father. Not having a mother. So when you look at the idea of the mom or the ideal role of the mom, her whole means of being there is to nurture the soul, from her position. Yeah, she nurses the body, she cooks, she cleans, all that, but all that is nurturing the soul. And its truest and sincere form. This is why Elizabeth and Mary had to be there. Listen to the words. Let's go back. Let's go to verse 7. Allahu said, "It is not strange. There is no happiness. Law governs all events." Bam. Islam Moors, this is where you get that term from. Where you're going to hear the Tajes, the Light Tajiris, right? Abdullahs, all the civic Moors, the sovereign ideology Moors. They love saying law governs all events. Right? But they don't know what that means. They take it out of context. They're looking at it towards as on a mundane, a secular level. Law governs all events. When they say it, they talking about Black's Law Dictionary. When they say it, they talking about codes, statutes, X, Y, and Z, Moors. But that the idea is really law governs all events means let's take it to the 7 Hermetic principles, right? Cause and effect, right? The 7 Hermetic principles. Let's look them up. Looking at the screen. Try to bring this down. Yeah. You put 7 Hermetic or gender. Before you had gender, you had cause and effect. Cause and effect. That's number 6 of the principles. Mentalism is a 1. Principle correspondence. Principle vibration. Principle polarity. Principle of rhythm. Principle of cause and effect. When I said law governs all events, is what he means. These principles. Law comes from principles. Divine principles. But when he speaks of that, he's talking about cause and effect. It was already then. You were supposed to be here. The law governs all events. There's no happiness. You don't just happen. Something caused you to be here. There's an intention that was put forth in the universe to make you, to have you be here. Since we're looking at my screen, if y'all still watching, I'm gonna go ahead and diminish this here. Y'all can look at my screen. Islam. Here is to be, I believe, the second convention of the Moorish Science Simple America. And Brother Melia was in charge. So Brother Melia was in charge. Now, see all these lovely Moors, Moorish Americans. And you're looking at these brothers, right? Look at the garbs. Right? Follow me, Moors. Listen to what I'm saying. See how they're beautifully dressed. Look at this sister. Look at her garb. Prophet was talking about how the European rented out all the Moorish and Moroccan outfits. They say they got the outfits. They say they got the outfits right, but they can't get the hue. Prophet was slick, man. He said they got the outfits right, but they can't get the hue. Look at these. Look at the sister back here. Like this one person. Hey, look at that. Look at the size of it. Almost like a giant, almost. He's a tall individual here, as far as their physical stature. I looked at this earlier today, Moors, and I was like, man, where are these people at? Where they at now? Like, where are the descendants? Like, you know, you look at this, you're like, dang, can we get something like that? Where does these people go? Where did they go? What happened? And then you know what hit me? You know what hit me was? They ain't going nowhere. They right here. They on this call. There's no happening. The law governs all events. There's a reason why we know each other. There's a reason why we're engaged on this call. There's a reason why you've chosen to fill out your membership with the Moorish Science Simple America via Mission 28. Law governs all events. Just think about all the people that haven't heard. And why have you heard? That's not by coincidence. The connection is there. Islam. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not just Philly, brother Abdullah. It's all over, man. It's Jersey too. I frequently I tell the story when I was working with the Catholic Charities in Camden, and the sister. Oops, sorry. There's a sister I met once I was going through the cubicles. I don't know where I was headed to. And I saw her name. She had an L on her name. I was like, oh, shoot. You know? So I stopped and talked to the sister. I said, you got an L on your name. She said, yeah. I said, you a Moorish American? You a Moor? And she said, well, yeah. She said, my grandfather was there. You know, that kind of from my grandfather. He's a Moor. You know, and they had like a camp and stuff. And I knew what she was talking about. She talking about there was the Moors actually owned like a small farm and a day camp down in Williamstown, New Jersey. Okay, down in Williamstown, New Jersey, they own this lot, this little camp, this land and stuff like that. So, and they used to have a camp and stuff like that, supposedly from what I heard. And I used to work with a sister because I used to work at a cafeteria at my college. And the sister, I never knew she was a Moorish, but I wasn't on it. I wasn't on, I wasn't really on the Moorish science at the time. But I never thought that's what was her until one day this sister had, who I used to work with at the cafeteria, my cousin Janelle brought her over to my grandma's house for, I think, either for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. And we started building about being Moors. And she said, yeah, she said, my grandfather was a Moor. I actually got I think she said, I actually got Bay in my name. I said, really? She said, yeah, it's my middle name because I got married. And so it gets lost. They bury their names when they get married. And they put the husband's name over, the sister that I met at Catholic Charities, she still had the L, but she was a Christian. She went to church. I know a sister was one of my swing sisters, Swing 5 Swing. And sister, she was into the Moorish stuff, Moorish paradigm. She wasn't necessarily in the temple, but eventually, the last time I seen her, she was a Christian going to church. I was doing Uber and Lyft at the time. She was my, I ended up picking her up, and I ended up taking her. I dropped her off at one of her church that she went to. I was shocked, but alhamdulillah, if it fulfills her soul, then I have no problem, I have no price with it, because I'm not here to really, judge people's evolution. But, coming from being that what we know as more science, being what we know as, knowledge of faith and religion, it was a shock for me, but then it also shows. But there's no coincidence why you're here. There's no coincidence why we're all here, And I think what the lesson, even shows, like when you dumb down particular principles and you miss the full focus, you know what I'm saying? You definitely are diminishing, the nutrition, the soul nutrition that you can get from these things. So when these more, like a lot of Moors take things out of context and put it in like a secular context to allude to civics and law all the time, they diminish the soul nutrition of that principle. They diminish the soul nutrition they get from that principle lesson. And so what happens is it causes them, to actually be put in a place where, if their faith is tested on this road, so forth, they're not going to necessarily manifest a full stronghold or strong stance, or some, for most part, will manifest something that's unbalanced, and that's not necessarily balanced, So, it's good to know the principles and understand the true lesson. Don't take the words out of context. It's not strange. There are no happenings. Law governs all events. That's the full phrase. And it said from olden times, it was ordained that you would be with us. And in this sacred school be taught. So it was ordained. You got to read the full context. He's talking about it was already predetermined for Elizabeth and Mary to be with Allahu Salam. Islam. Let's see. Let's go to verse 10. Allahu said to Mary and Elizabeth, you may esteem yourself thrice blessed, for you are chosen mothers of long-promised sons, who are ordained to lay a solid rock, a sure foundation stone, on which the temple of perfect man shall rest, a temple that shall never be destroyed. We measure time by cycle ages, and the gate to every age we deem a milestone in the journey of the race. An age has passed, and the gate unto another age flies open. At the age touch of time, this is the preparation age of soul, the kingdom of Emmanuel, of Allah and man. All right, so let's look at 10 through 13. All right, Islam. So we look at what are they saying? Foundations being laid with these two. All right. Foundation. And if you go later on in this chapter, it talks about Jesus' love and John's purity. Purity and love has to be your foundation to make it into the cycle ages. To pass through the times, these cycle ages, you have to master purity and love. We have to control. We have to be able to do that. Those principles. We'll get deeper into what's purity and love in a minute. So the measure time by cycle ages is that time is not linear. Islam, time is not linear. It's in a cycle. It's in a cycle. It occurs all the time. Things, it may appear differently, but the same nature, the same point of principles always reoccur. May not be 5 days now, but it might be a few years. You go through certain ages and certain cycles. Some people, when you reach your 40s, I think like 42, it's like when you everybody has a 7-year cycle. Within the 7, your first year is 7, then 14 is another cycle you enter into, then 21 into that cycle, and then 28 to your 30s. And then from there is, 35, mid 30s. And then you go into 42 and in your 40s. These are cognitive, mental, cognitive, psychological ages as well for you. These are also, being in spiritually, it's considered ages that you might go through spiritually and your conscious awareness and those type of things. That's, with this 7th cycle, Usually in ancient Kemet, they measured it that way. With the youth, when it was 7, they were taught. That's when they really got taught, was at the age of 7. And they didn't finish until they were like 42, 45, when they entered into the schools of thought. He didn't finish. Like, we finished, you finish school when you about 18, you graduate, and it's up to you whether you want to go to college or not, You don't have to go to college. It wasn't, once you got into the schools in Kemet, as a 7-year-old, you will not see graduation till you're 40. Can you imagine the development of a human being who's received that long nurturing and understanding? Can you imagine the curriculum that they probably had to go through in order to pass the trials and become fully, whether it be a priest or a pharaoh or some type of leader? And we want to push our kids out as soon as they turn 18. As soon as you turn 18, you're out of here, buddy. Changing my number. Do that all the time to our children. Sink or swim. Gotta go. And they don't have the nurturing. They don't have the nurturing level the level of nurturing that they need. You know, a lot of us, we don't. I was speaking to Solo earlier, and we were talking about financial literacy. How a lot of us weren't even, like, a lot of us ain't financially literate at all. Look at us. We can't even, like, as soon as a trip, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, it's so many levels to this whole understanding of convention and this year, but this is all the time. Like, yo, everybody, don't hold your head down thinking it's you. It's not just you, it's everybody. Everybody's stressing right now. Like, yo, financial, like, yo, how come I'm gonna do this and make sure everything, you know what I'm saying? Look. If we were more financially minded, you know what I'm saying? We had more awareness, more of a go-to about certain things, financially and all that. It's what? Convention? How much? Okay. When can I pay? All right, got it. I got the money. Anybody else need help? Cool. Come stay with, I got you. Wanting to be like that. That's what I thrive for. But when I didn't get it. My mom always told me about stuff, but she never manifested. I couldn't see it. There's words like, you gotta do this. My mom, I remember I would just be in my room by myself. My mom come up one talk, and she talking. About all this different stuff. I know I probably need to listen, but it's just like, Mom, I don't see you do it. What do you, it's fantasy to me. Like, you're telling me about the boogeyman and Santa Claus, because I don't see it. So how can I manifest this? And we were talking about even, financial literacy, we talk about the European, man, ain't even all of them. It's a small percentile of Europeans that actually making it financially. A lot of them struggle, That's why they coming up with all these different tricks, financial tricks to beat the system, because the basics is they struggle with it, So, the nurturing aspect is an ongoing aspect. It's an ongoing aspect. And 42 is a 7 cycle. 7 goes into 42. All right, 6 times. The sun goes into 6 times. Listen to the lesson. Go back. It said, we measure the time by cycle ages and negate to every age we deem a milestone journey of the race. An age has passed, and the gate unto another flies open at the touch of time. This is a preparation age of the soul, and the kingdom of Emmanuel, of Allah, man. Now look, you look at the logos on the cover of your Moorish Holy Koran, right? Take a good look at that. And you notice that the quadrants are separated. You're talking about measured time through cycle ages, right? And gates fly open. Okay. Prophet was calculated. He always left symbols for us to realize certain things. So the divinity within us and you must go through these cycle ages, these cycles within you in order to manifest itself. Okay. You got to know what cycle you're in. It's on. Because it's very important to know what cycle you're in. Because when you find out, then you'll know how to move accordingly. You'll know what to look for. This is key. as many of us we navigating through life without knowing where we're at. We're not aware of our existence in the current time and space that we're in. We're like, oh, I'm here. Okay, where's here? Like, I'm going to work. I'm this, I'm that. That's why I like, I could say, Sister Shakana, you got a job, but it ain't your job. What you do on Sunday and doing all other stuff, that's your job, and it's a blessing that you're able to take that time and have that time to manifest that for yourself, and then it's showing it how you're helping other people. But you're able, one thing I'm bringing it out is because you're actually able to help people see where they are, so they can be like, okay, what should I do? What can I do? Some of us, a lot of stuff is just too much. We feel like we're being overwhelmed as things are not really connected. But where are you at? It ain't just connected by coincidence. It ain't just happening because it's just happening. It's something to it. Law governs all events. Find out. Everyone has personal cycles. You're in a cycle. There's a grand cycle that you're in that everybody goes through collectively, and there's individual cycles. Islam. So, I just want to drop that jewel at this moment. So let's move on to the next verse. 14.
Islam, brother.
Yes.
I was just thinking, when you said 7, it just dawned on me that in 2015,
yes,
in 2015 I had an opportunity to do some of what I'm doing right now, and I didn't take proper advantage of it. That was 7 years ago, and now everything is just manifest. I'm in such a better place right now. Everything is manifesting so beautifully. I mean, in this way that I can't even believe it sometimes. I mean, I do believe it, but I'm more in expectation of good things happening. But it just made me realize, I'm like, oh, 15, 16, 17. I'm like, oh, it's 7 years. It's 7 years. It is. It's 7 years. And I kept telling people, I'm going to get it back, but this time it's going to be better, because what I think actually happened is,
yes,
I was given an opportunity to see the potential of what I could have if I continue to do the right thing, So, but I was just thinking about the whole 7-year thing. It's like it's right on point.
Right.
With what's happening right now. Sorry.
Right. That's all right. No, you're fine. We needed that. It's good testimony. That's serious. That's serious. That's serious. And it showed that, you missed the opportunity then. But then later it returned, and then now you were able to take advantage of it.
All right,
and it manifests in more help.
What's up? Oh, let me put some shoes on. I got it's wet. A little wet out here. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. So when we do 14, and these sons, verse 14, and these your sons will be the first to tell the news, teach the gospel of goodwill to man and peace on earth. A mighty work is theirs. For carnal man want not the light, they love the dark. When the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. We call these sons revealers of the light, but they must have the light before they can see the light. Let me see. If I have, give me a moment, into Let's see here. Let's see here. Don't. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to find if I have the. Okay, I don't have it right now. Or maybe I do in my. I'm trying to find the affidavit for the Civic Corporation. I'm going to show y'all something. Yeah. So we can do this real quick. There is a resources missing. Drive. Show me. Part itself, Moorish. I don't know if I have it here. A whole bunch of stuff here. Nope, it's not here. Let's see if I can find it. Let me go to Google. Let's see, more simple science. Corporation. There you go. Oh, come on. All right, let me see. I want to do that. Let me save this. All right. Let's look at this here. Now, read the text again. And I mentioned this Saturday, a few Saturdays ago when we were at the latest cafe. It says 15, a mighty work is theirs, for carnal men want not the light, they love the dark. And when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. We call these sons revealers of the light, but they must have the light before they can reveal the light. And you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal, and make them conscious of the missions to the sons of men. Right? So look, here we go. If you look at this, you'll see that our founder spelled his name Ju'alim. Right? I keep going over this. Right? And you see he actually signed it like that. It's the end. It's the end. So let's go that. Let me go to Matic Principles. All right, let's go to, you know what? I'll do it with the Google, right? In the Google. So let's go to Aline. Look it up. What does Aline mean? What is it? All right. What does it mean? So in names, it means fair, handsome, as both noble, bright, right? Noble nature, a noble person. Listen, look at this. Here we go. Look. Sue, to sue, bearer of the light. Sanskrit, meaning scorpion, zodiac sign for Scorpio in the Sanskrit, or Vedic, you could say. Okay. Always asking me something. These people. So you see, it means bearer of the light. And here, it's a little history on it. Bearer of the light. Armenian means bearer of the light. The Sanskrit scorpion or Scorpio and zodiac, which when he filed this, it was in the zodiac, the Vedic zodiac. It was in the cycle. It was during Scorpio, the Scorpio portion of the zodiac in the Vedic. So the prophet calculated the energy. He was telling people he was a light bearer. This is him sparking the light, giving the light through this organization, establishing the organization. Everything has a symbolism when he does it. Like I say, he's calculated. Prophet knew what he did. Everything had a symbol to it. He always was invoking something, invoking a principle, invoking an idea. Islam. Let's go back to the reading. I just wanted to share that so you guys have an idea of what when the prophet put when he put this pamphlet together, he was in his life was enacting this pamphlet. I have an article where the prophet actually had this book with him. He had this thing. So he had time to study this thing in and out with, the words. He had the Aquarian gospel. He had he had these writings way before he even announced his prophethood. So he had time to study this thing. So when he moved according to the point where when you read this thing and you contemplate these words, you could actually connect and see what he was doing and say, wow, that kind of, seems like, kind of figure, connects with the prophet was doing that. You can see the connection. Everything he was doing was a message. He was talking to you through his actions. He didn't just randomly do things. He did things so that you could see what he was doing as a message of him talking to you and teaching. Right? Islam. So it says 16, we call these sons revealers of the light, but they must have the light before they can receive the light. You must have the light. You must have a concept of the light. You can't receive it if you don't have the light. You won't be able to understand it. You must have the innate. See, the reason why y'all are here because y'all already had the light in you. There's no strange. There's no happiness. There's no, there's nothing strange. There's no happiness. There's a light in you. The reason why you're drawn to consciousness is different. Not everybody's drawn to this. Not everybody who comes in are truly drawn to this. Some is just a wave. Their light might get sparked later on, but initially, some people come in just because it's the wave now. I just want to be temple. I want to be, I ain't trying to find no vlogs. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of vibe, But that's not, but they eventually get sparked onto the light. But when you have the light, you go where it can be perceived. It can be comprehended. And you have the light, so you're able to receive more. So let's move forward. 17. And you must teach your sons to set souls on fire with love and holy zeal. Make them conscious of their missions to the sons of men. Teach them that Allah and man are one, but through carnal thoughts and words and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. Teach that the holy breath will make them whole one again, restoring harmony and peace. The holy breath. It's another word for truth. It's the truth is it's going to restore you. It brings out your true self. Mastering the breath. I shared some video of some guy talking about breathing through the nostrils properly. Very important to learn that. That gets you back to your true self. We don't know how to breathe. Walk around not even breathing right. So, as it says, at 18, teach them that Allah and man are one, but through carnal thoughts, the words and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah to base himself. And they put everything in order. Thoughts, words, deeds. Because that's how they manifest. Whatever you thought, you think it, and then you speak it, then it becomes a part of you, and that's your deeds, that's your actions. Right? 19, teach that the holy breath will make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. You can't truly master or even come to grips of harmony and peace until you master your breath. Until that becomes dominant. I'm talking to myself too. That naught can make them one. That naught can make them one. But love. That nothing can make them one but love. That Allah so loved the world that he clothed his son in flesh that man can comprehend. Go back up. Can't comprehend the light. Love the dark. So Allah had to clothe his son, his message, in an image that you can comprehend. Because if Jesus came in his true form light, as it goes in chapter 19 and so forth, he ain't gonna really comprehend that. But a carnal mind, Islam, now love cannot be manifest until its way has been prepared. The knot can rend the rock and bring down the lofty hill and fill the valleys up, thus pure and prepare the way for purity. That means nothing can do that. Nothing can knock down those things that are blocking your way to purity. Fasting is one form, purity. If not one of the largest or basically most main way is fasting. And that doesn't have to be for meals. It could be other things. You could take a oath of silence for yourself for a day. Go about the day without speaking, without saying hi to anybody. Be quiet. Islam. Hope I'm not losing anybody. We're 950. Purity in life men do not comprehend, so it too must come in flesh. He's talking about John now. Now he's talking about the principle of love and purity. John is rigid. John lived, he lived like a beggar almost, eating off the land and all that type of stuff, But that was the way he lived and the way he was. It was not the most favorable amongst a lot of people because it was too strict, it was too new that some people saw. But that was the purity. The purity can't be apologetic. Islam, purity cannot be apologetic. That means when it comes, it's going to purify. When Jesus came, when he talked about in the Bible, he said, not come to bring love, I came to bring a sword. That was the purity. Supposedly, he said that, of course, recorded back. But the purity comes like a wrecking ball. It comes to make sure you're straight. If you're talking about purifying yourself, going without those things, it has to be rigid. Eventually it has to be rigid because then, things will seep in that you don't want. And, I'm talking to myself. And you can never grasp the love. This love zone, is connected to your true self, also connected to your soul. Remember, we're talking about the soul. It's like wealth is to, so is, just as wealth is to the person or whomever, so is sincerity is to the soul. Sincerity. Sincerity is important. That helps you with the purity. Checking yourself. Am I telling the truth? Am I doing this out of attention seeking? What is my intentions of doing this? And then be willing to divert your efforts. Like, oh man, this is not right. Let me fall back real quick and make sure I'm doing the right thing with the right reason. Let's keep going. Try to wrap it up. And you, Elizabeth, are blessed because yours is purity, made flesh, and he shall pay the way for love. This age will comprehend but little other words of purity and love, but not a word is lost. For in the book of Allah's remembrance, a registry is made of every thought, word, deed. And when the world is ready to receive, lo, Allah will send a messenger to open up the book, copy from its sacred pages all the messages of purity and love. That's what the Prophet was bringing. Islam. And then every man of earth will read the words of life in the language of his native land. And men will see the light and walk in the light and be the light. And man, again, will be at one with Allah. Very simple. Simply said, but there's deafness to this particular, for these particular verses. Clearing up your mind, clearing up your attentions in your heart so you can receive the love, so you can see more of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can receive that particular connection you need, you know. I'm gonna move to same questions, or probably gonna go ahead and stop, share. Just give me, I want to take a swig of water.
Islam, brother.
Yes.
Arise and give praises to Allah and honors to noble Jawali and all to which honors are due.
Yes, ma'am.
I was immediately, once you said the last part about it's being, to me, it's being self-aware. And meditation helps us with that. It brings us to a point of being able to hear the two sides. It brings clarity so that we can actually see and understand our choices.
Right.
Thank you.
That's absolutely right. And I remember speaking to Springer and Sheik. We were talking about meditation. And he said it kind of slows everything down for him, where he's able to think and process things before he does it. Like you're able to analyze things right there, like before you do it. You're aware. You'll be like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to, you actually think about it, like, I don't need to be doing that. Or, all right, what's is my heart truly into this? Or, what's my intention? My intentions is clear in the sense where you could look at it and you're like, I need chill. Like I'm being a little too boisterous, a little too, let me fall back. I'm showing myself a little bit too much, getting away, getting ahead of myself, or, in a sense like that, that helps. Once you have that self-analyzation and having self-awareness, that's what self-awareness is. Wearing yourself, being aware of yourself in situations and stuff like that, what you're doing in your actions. A lot of us don't have, a lot of us go through life, we don't even develop it, as adults, So I used to get badgered a little bit for not having self-awareness. So like, I ain't know what that, I understand what it was, And that's like, it can serve as a handicap a little bit because it's like, it invites other stuff and like that can leach onto your character, So you want to definitely take time to meditate. It doesn't have to be long starting off, be like a few minutes, but you'll see the results, Definitely see the result.
Yeah, the way that I suggest that people start meditating is very simple.
Yes.
Very, very beginner is 4 count in, 8 count out. Big belly in, make your belly goes into a balloon. 8 count out, it goes all the way to the back. And you focus on your breathing in and out. And you definitely breathe through your nose for several reasons. First thing is, a lot of people don't even realize that there are just like you said, they weren't taught to actually breathe properly. We breathe through our nose because if you try breathing through your mouth, the oxygen is not getting to your head. When you breathe through your nose, the oxygen is actually getting to your head. You try it now, you notice a difference. And that's why there's hairs in our nose to protect us from those, from the germs and stuff actually getting into our brains.
Really?
When we, yeah, so that's why people cutting it all out. You're not supposed to cut it out. It's there for a reason, for protection
Wait,
for you.
you ain't walking around with no, your hair ain't locked up in your nostrils now, sisters.
No, no, no. No. But there was a time where somebody sat me to the side and was like, I think you need to cut that. It's like, it's natural, but I'm not that like that no more.
Yeah,
There's a happy balance.
I know,
But
I know.
but it definitely helps you, when you don't breathe through your nose, you can actually have extra weight on your body also.
Really? What do you
There's
mean? Wait,
still weight, as in like physical weight.
really?
You can be heavier than you naturally would be if you were actually breathing through your nose. When you breathe through your nose, the oxygen is going throughout your entire body, not just in your mouth and in your throat. It's going in, it's helping your whole body. And when the prophet said, if I could just get you to think again, that's a part of that, which is a part of meditation, is through breathing actually through your nose. So if you take a moment, right? And if
Yes.
everybody, you hear my voice, watch this. I'm just talking to you right now. So I'm going to breathe through my nose for like a minute. Okay, now what just happened? What did you just notice? Did you notice my tone change?
Yeah.
My
Kind of
tone
low though.
changed. Right, because I'm calm. This is my natural tone.
Okay.
It changed immediately, and it brought me down to a calmer place. It's balancing everything in my brain and throughout my entire body. That's the breath. The breath is so powerful.
Right.
It helps us to actually think. It helps us to be present. It helps us to heal. We're just breathing through our mouth. We're supposed to talk through that, not breathe through it. We can let air out of it, but to bring the air in, if everybody tries it right now, you notice that some of us may even get a little lightheaded because we're not used to doing it. But it's one of the first steps. Is to learn how to properly breathe, which is what I teach in everybody that I come in contact with. You have to first learn to breathe. Meditation helps us think again. And do all those, be more self-aware of all those things that we're learning. It puts us in a place of power. It helps us to be here and now, right now, and in the present. And unfortunately, it's really, to sit with ourselves is very hard to do. No one really a lot of people don't want to sit with themselves because it makes them look at themselves. They want to stay in their stuff. But to learn to actually sit with yourself and be with yourself, you learn that you're a complex, weird individual, and then you're more understanding to another person in their individuality. But when you can be at a place where you're actually thinking for yourself and you're present, and then you're more likely to do it in love, because now you can hear clearly your lower and your higher self, and you clearly have a choice. You're not moving mindlessly. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you for sharing. We're gonna move to close meeting. It is 10:03. If there's no more questions, comments, I'm gonna move to close with the readings, the warnings. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, true peace, freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, who violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive the reward from Allah for the unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the law laid down to them by the prophet, and if if they lose confidence in the prophet, give up your card and buttons, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. Well, this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet of the tribe. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet, the will of Allah, to redeem its people from their sinful ways. Peace, noble duality. To be proclaimed in every meeting, Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me in the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, and so they can take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past, and it is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds. This is the ones that pay their divine respect to me in the movement will be redeemed. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance. I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and ability. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being here. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, to be the members of the Moorish Scientific America, to be read in every meeting, Islam. This is instructions from your prophet, Noble. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you'll be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on. The weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet. Noble. And that is why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear. These they will be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now. The Moors and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but you will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest. The ones that speak against your divine national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet. I'm going to close in prayer. Two fingers on the right, follow on left. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers. Bind created principles, this we ask in our holy name and so Amen. Peace and love, Moors. Everyone have a good evening. Enjoy your night. Get some rest.